Hey guys! First of all, I want everyone to know that I am the proud owner of a website of my very own. Yay! It is LeahMouse.com. Yes, I have a .com. And I thank Derek very much. He worked very hard for a week putting this website together for me. He did all the work himself. You guys should definitely go check it out. So it's LeahMouse.com. That's it. Very simple, right? You go there, I have a daily blog that I'm gonna try to update as often as possible. I have my videos, I have pictures, I have fan art that you guys have sent to me. I have a place where I'm doing movie reviews. There's a Twitter feed there. There's a place where you can actually buy my candles directly from the website. So it's actually pretty cool. So guys, head on over to LeahMouse.com and check me out. Now, on to today's topic. This video is gonna be kind of weird. You have to watch it with an open mind. Okay, so basically, I've had these weird theories for a long time about like religion versus, you know, aliens as in extraterrestrials, the paranormal, past lives, all that stuff. I've always felt like all that stuff was sort of interconnected somehow. This actually kind of sparked a conversation that Derek and I were having last night after we watched an episode of Ancient Aliens. And I know most of you have probably seen that. That's where that meme came from with the guy with the crazy hair that just says, aliens. So basically in the episode we watched last night, the theory of ancient astronauts or ancient aliens, extraterrestrials visiting us in our long forgotten history past, whatever, like ancient Egypt and everything. They were saying that like another theory to that might be it was actually us visiting us from the future, time travel stuff. And I was thinking, I was like, you know, that's actually kind of a plausible thing, because if they've already discovered that time travel is possible, it just is a matter of doing it. It's the whole wormhole thing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the wormhole, it's basically if you take a piece of paper and, you know, like lay it flat and then put a dot here and a dot here, and then like fold that piece of paper in half, the dots align, and that's called a wormhole. It's basically just a shortcut because like time and space bends and you can go just straight from the other one and avoid the whole interstellar travel or whatever. The problem becomes finding the wormhole so that you can actually do it, or creating it, or harnessing it, or whatever. But essentially, time travel is possible through the means of a wormhole. So the theory is that somehow far in the distant future, when we have like way more advanced technology and everything, we paid a visit to ourselves via time travel to the ancient past in order to give us knowledge and teach us how to live and everything, because every religion basically in the world, I mean maybe not every religion, but most religions talk about beings coming from the sky in these big lights, and basically the beginning of civilization starts with the visitation of these people, giving them knowledge and tools to live by and rules to live by, and basically being like, okay, I mean for example in Christianity, the 10 Commandments, that kind of thing. The Old Testament of the Bible is just like super freaking crazy, just full of like people, just chaotic crap. And then Jesus came, basically set everybody straight. Please don't twist my words and think that I am saying exactly Jesus was an alien. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just using it as an example of like the kind of theories that are out there, like what they're talking about, okay? So don't anybody yell at me for knocking religion, because I mean I'm a Christian, so woohoo. So basically what I was thinking, I was like, well, if it was us from the future, wouldn't that sort of create sort of a paradoxical like timeline thing? I mean, you guys have seen Back to the Future, you know what I'm talking about. If you change anything in the past, it would ultimately affect the timeline in the future, you know, sort of a butterfly effect type of deal. If you've seen that movie too, by the way, good movie. I was like, what would be the point of visiting ourselves in the past and ultimately trying to alter it and affect it in a very profound way? Changing how these people live, who they worship, how they worship, their religious practices, things like, what would be the point of that, and wouldn't that threaten the very existence of the people who came back to visit them, right? Well, it got me thinking, and I was like, well, maybe that's the whole basis of like reincarnation and stuff. Like maybe this is a cycled timeline, and maybe it's just going over and over and over, but it's different each time. Maybe that's where that whole reincarnation thing comes in, because it's not like we ourselves are reincarnate of someone else from the past. Maybe we are ourselves again, just on a different timeline. And if some of us have never even been created because the timeline was altered, maybe we are other people. Maybe some people's spirits are newer than others. Maybe some are old souls. If you know what I'm talking about, the old souls kind of identify with a different time period. They have much more wisdom than a human being should have before they're like well into their wisdom age. You know what I'm talking about? Like old people have lots of wisdom and things, but like younger people shouldn't really be blessed with that amount of wisdom, or they feel like they're born into the wrong time, you know, that kind of thing. And if you feel like you've been cycled around a few times, or maybe the whole deja vu effect, maybe where we go in our dreams, maybe that has something to do with everything. Maybe that also has something to do with the paranormal world, like the spiritual world. Like maybe the spirits that are hanging around, like ghosts and stuff, maybe they're souls that just haven't been cycled back through yet. Maybe they're waiting on their next trip through. Even ignoring the whole traveled back in time and altered the timeline thing, just ignoring that, we'll just go off of the theory that maybe time loops. It is just a loop, you know, the world ends, the world starts over, the world ends, the world starts over. So maybe we are all in one big cycle, and our spirits and our souls are just kind of getting recycled every time. So every time we live, we're still us, it's just a little bit different. I don't really know. No one knows, but it's really interesting to think about. I've known people who like feel really comfortable in this time, you know, and they can't get enough of technology. Like they feel like they should have been born in the future. Derek's that way. He just can't get enough of technology. Like he feels like it's not quite enough for him. So maybe his soul is relatively new, or maybe it actually got hiccuped backwards or something, and he was supposed to have not been born for a while. Me, for example, I identify with more of like the Victorian era. Like anytime I go to a museum or a house or anything from that era, or see like the clothing from that time period, like I just feel comfortable. Like this time period geeks me out. I don't like technology. I don't agree with societal rules and practices and thoughts and things like that. I won't get into that because it's my business and, you know, it doesn't affect anything. I mean, obviously, technology I've adapted to. I mean, I obviously do live in this time period, so I'm just dealing with it and just, you know, utilizing it as it is. I'm not gonna be that crazy old woman who wears Victorian dresses living on a house up on a hill with 32 cats. I mean, I'm just adapting to the world as it is and just sort of living my life. No matter how much I don't really like it or identify with it, I can't exactly just skip back to Victorian days and live there. If I could, I would. Believe me, I really would. But I can't. I have to take what I'm given and I have to work with it. But I really do identify with that time period more than anything. I mean, there isn't really another time period, like I find them fascinating, other time periods, but that's the only one that really makes me go, ah. Like I even catch myself thinking, God, I wish it was still this way. God, I wish it was still. I'm like, well, how would I know that? That's really weird. Like, how do I feel like that? And even when I was a child, 3 or 4 years old, I was really proper and I would sit up straight at the table. My dad used to tell me that I would take my napkin and I would just dab it on my face. When I was done, I always put it on my lap, and I always like practice good table manners. And nobody knows where I learned it. Like my parents didn't teach me that. We didn't have television when I was growing up. I really have never had television. Okay, so it's not like I picked it up off of TV or anything. I had no brothers and sisters. I had no cousins my age. I didn't have any friends that lived in the area. Like literally, there was no influence where I could have picked this up. But I did it, and my parents told me that they always thought it was really strange how like polite and dainty, that dainty is the word that my dad used, and ladylike that I was when I wasn't even taught it. Like I never kicked up a fuss, ever. It seems like I was supposed to have been brought up in that sort of like proper society thing that's just kind of dead and gone and has been for quite a while. And the other thing with the whole reincarnation thing is very strange. This other thing that has always come to mind anytime I sort of think about, I wish I would have done things differently at this age or whatever, like my teen years or like my early 20s, the first thought that pops into my head, which I immediately kind of go, why did I think that? That doesn't make any sense. But the thought that pops into my head is, well, I'll just do it next time. And I'm immediately like, what? What do you, next time? What are you talking about? You're 30. You're not gonna be 16 again. There is no next time, you know what I mean? But that's the thought that's popping into my head many times over in many situations. And I've never been one to worry about where I'm at in life. I just feel like I'll go around again and I don't have to worry about it. Like I don't care about the fact that I'm not, you know, married with children and have a career, you know, at 30 years old. Like I don't care. I'm just sort of gliding through life, and I feel like I'm gonna get another time around and I'm just not really gonna go anywhere. So why rush myself off to be a robot when I can just sleigh ride through life a bunch of times and do it several times over to my little heart's content. It's how I've always been, and I've never really stressed about stuff like that, like most other people do. I've never been content to just pick one thing. I just want to experience life, and I feel like I have the ability to now, you know, in this day and age, if you will, with all the traveling that's available to us and the technology and things. It's very weird. So I don't really know what my whole purpose of telling you guys this was. Maybe just to open up your minds a little bit and think about it. I bought a book a while ago that I haven't even cracked open yet. It's like called like How to Unlock Your Past Lives or something like that. I want to do it. I want to go through this book and see if there's really any credence to it, or what I can find out about myself, if there is anything to find out. You know, maybe I'm just crazy, I don't know, but I have my beliefs. I don't believe that there is just like, you're born, you live, you die. That just doesn't seem possible, like with all of the things that we can't explain that are out there, the paranormal things, the spiritual realm, in both the ghost world and the high above realm. I mean that in both ways, spiritual. And I've experienced enough things in all these areas of just mysterious things that just people cannot explain. I've experienced enough that I know it's there. I can't discredit it even if I wanted to. I definitely don't feel like this is it. So I like to think about these things and theorize and try to just figure things out and try to make sense of it all, even though at the same time I really kind of don't want to, because that's the fun, to keep the mystery going, you know what I mean? But I just find it interesting that there are weird little things in this world that no one can explain. Like the greatest minds, greatest thinkers, the greatest philosophers, even with as far as we've come, there are still so many things that are out of our realm of explanation. And it's really cool, you know, to think about these things and just have conversations with people about them and wonder what it's all about. And even with the things that go on in my head that really shouldn't go on in my head, it's just weird, like with that whole, oh, I'll do it next time thing, like it doesn't make any sense. It's very fascinating to me, and I want to get to the bottom of it, but at the same time, maybe I don't, because it's fun to speculate, right? So I guess I just wanted to share my inner thoughts about that stuff with you, and maybe you guys can leave me your comments and tell me what you think. I love to have philosophical discussions with people and theorize and just hash it out, because no one knows, it's all conjecture. So why don't we all just talk about it and just see what we all think? Is it all connected? Is it all separate? Are there aliens? Is there time travel? Is there reincarnation? Is there a past life thing? Is there deja vu connected to that? Are dreams connected to it? Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? Is the heaven that we go to the place where we go in our dreams, or is it simply a heaven of our own making? Or do we just stay here and our spirits recycle and that's where ghosts come from? We don't know. Let's talk! I clearly have enough energy for tonight, so I am going to end this video now. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!